to the impacted areas. But instead, people want to do disinformation, misinformation, which is dangerous, because then when folks on the ground hear that, they may not want to ask for the help that they need. That is there for them. That's our focus here.
But President Biden is fond of saying, show me your budget and I will tell you what you value. If he's got money for people in Lebanon right now, without Congress having to come back, what does it say about his values? There's not enough money right now for people in North Carolina who need it. That's not misinformation.
Wait, no, that is your whole premise of the question is misinformation, sir. What you do? Yes, it's misinformation.
Is there money to send Lebanon right now?
I just mentioned to you that we provided more than $200 million to folks who are impacted in the area, and I just shared with you that people are deciding not to. People are deciding not to.
Wait. To Congress that there's not enough money to help people in North Carolina.
We're talking about the SBA disaster loan.
That's money for people in North Carolina.
And that's important, and people in North Carolina need that. Wait, this is nothing new. Peter, this is nothing new. Congress comes together, they provide money, millions of dollars, for disaster relief. We're asking them to do the job that they have been doing for some time.
From a letter that President Biden sent to Johnson, McConnell, Schumer, and Jeffries. The president's letter is not misinformation. Would you agree?
No, the way you're asking me the question is misinformation. There is money that we are allocating to the impacted areas, and there's money there to help people who truly need it. There are survivors who need the funding, and it's there.
That you don't like misinformation.
I actually said we have the money available to help survivors of Hurricane Helene and also Hurricane Milton. Now there's going to be a shortfall, right? Because we don't know how bad Hurricane Milton is going to be. And so we're going to need additional funding. That's
exactly what I just asked about. And you said it was misinformation. Yes.
What you're asking me is why Congress needs to come back and do their job. That's what you're asking me. Congress needs to come back and do their job and provide extra assistance, extra funding to disaster relief fund. That's what Congress needs to do, and we're going to continue to urge that. You may not want that, but that's okay. That's what this president wants, and that's what the vice president wants. Thanks, everybody.
That was the most bizarre answer. Congress has to come back. You may not want that. I may not. It's the way you ask the question that's misinformation. It's not the question. It's the way you ask. And she ran away. She literally skulked away. Oh my. Fox News' Peter Doocy asked this borderline illiterate Karine Jean-Pierre a very simple question that actually just ended up blowing up their entire fake narrative. We're doing everything we possibly can, but until Congress comes back, until those wascally Republicans come back and vote on funding, we can't give the victims the help they need. Then can you explain why is the Biden and Harris administration sending immediate funding to Lebanon without Congress coming back, but they're not doing the same for additional disaster funds to North Carolina? If you need me to explain that, if you don't need Congress to send money overseas, why do you need Congress to spend money on your own people who are in dire need of it? And that diversity hire, that single most embarrassing White House spokesperson ever, and that's saying something, she called that question misinformation, dangerous misinformation. And then she stormed out. She got mad. She took her ball and she went home. Precisely because Doocy called her out. And this whole ridiculous clown show of an administration out for abandoning their own citizens who are suffering and in need. But the good news, gang, is it does look like the tide is turning. Things are all moving in Trump's direction. And it looks like Kamala's Katrina disaster is finally catching up with her. Greetings, everyone. It is live stream Monday night. As always, I am your host, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you stay sane in these obviously very, very insane times. So you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button as we do every Monday night. We've got our exclusive Backstage private Q&A tonight. So if you'd like to join our private virtual platform and ask me your questions, just click on that link below or go to fight.turleytalks.com/join. That's fight.turleytalks.com/join. You could sign up for any level of support that works for you, and you'll be given your own Backstage pass to ask me anything you like, as well as fellowship with some of the coolest patriots on the planet. You're going to absolutely love it. So remember, go to fight.turleytalks.com/join, or just simply click on the link below. Sign up for any level you like. You'll be given your own link to our Backstage pass. It's your own link. It's your very own Backstage pass to our virtual Backstage platform, where we're going to have a lot of fun. So go ahead and click on that link. You're going to love it. All right. So if you're a regular to this channel, what do I got? I got a little funny, like, reverse alfalfa thing going on back there. I don't know. I'm just looking at the monitor. I should stop looking at the monitor. Whenever I look at myself, I always just kind of go, ooh, Iowa. But anyway, if you're a regular to this channel, and if not, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button, of course. But if you are regular, you'll know that we use 3 major data sets for understanding the state of the presidential race. 3 major data sets. Of course, we got the polls. Those are important, but it's also important to make sure we get rid of the bad ones. We've got voter registration trends, and we've got early voting numbers that are coming in, particularly in states like Virginia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. And what we're looking for is to see if there are any trends or commonalities between the 3 data sets. This provides corroboration and confirmation. So if you overlap the 3 data sets, is there a clear picture that emerges from that overlap? And the good news is that there is. All 3 data sets, all 3 are showing massive swings in Trump's direction. And I mean massive when you put them all together. So this is good stuff. So let's start with the latest polling here. Now, the latest national poll to drop today is from the Democracy Institute. They nailed it back in 2016. They predicted that Trump would win. They were one of the few, actually, few polling outlets that predicted a Trump win in 2016. They were one of the most accurate pollsters of that election. They just dropped their brand new national poll, and it's sending shivers down the spines of the Democrats right now. Trump in their national polling is up 3, which is exactly what Atlas Intel is showing. So that's why I like this Democracy Institute, because I think it corroborates the Atlas Intel polling that found Trump with a national lead, a national vote lead of 3. Atlas Intel, if you don't know, they came within 0.2 points of calling the 2020 election. They had Biden winning by 4.7% of the vote. He actually got 4.5. They just recently given Trump a national vote lead of 3 points over Harris. That's head-to-head with the full lineup. The lead grows to 4 points. And now, in addition to the Democracy Institute and Atlas Intel, we've got a Rasmussen poll. It's a 5-day rolling average, and they have Trump up by, ding, 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 3 as well. So we've got 3 high-quality polls, all showing Trump up by the same amount, 3. So 3 polls, Trump up in the national vote by 3. Now, circling back to the Democracy Institute poll, they've got Trump within the margin of error or within just single digits of Virginia, Minnesota, and New Hampshire. I just want that to hit you a little bit. They have Trump within the margin of error or just within single digits of Virginia, Minnesota, and New Hampshire. That is not supposed to be happening. And just in case you thought Democracy Institute was an outlier, take a look at the, this is a Democracy Institute. This is what they have. They actually have Trump within 2 points in New Hampshire. Now, again, several analysts have been talking about New Hampshire being like the dark horse here for Trump on November 5th. Trump and Kamala, for weeks now, have been running neck and neck, but basically tied within the margin of error in a state that hasn't voted Republican in a presidential race since 1988. Since George Herbert Walker Bush. But that's exactly what's happening here. New Hampshire is on the cusp of actually voting for Republican for the first time in 40 years. Biden won New Hampshire by 7 points. They're tied now. They're statistically tied. And then when you compare these findings from the Democracy Institute with Atlas Intel, they're also finding Trump leading in all 5 of the major swing states. Look at that. He's up 3.4 in Michigan. He's up 2.9 in Pennsylvania. That goes with Trump's internals in Pennsylvania that shows him up by 3. By the way, Kamala's internals in Pennsylvania show that Trump is up by 4. Very, very wonderful there. And he's up, Trump's up 1.5 in Wisconsin. He's up in Arizona. He's up in Georgia. I mean, this is, they had a strange outlier with that North Carolina one. There's no way Trump is up 3 in the national poll, up in all these other states, but then behind in North Carolina because North Carolina votes to the right of all 5 of those states. It's not a big deal, but bottom line, that's the blue wall and the majority of the Sunbelt states just falling like that on November 5th. And these are states that the Democrats absolutely need to win every single one of these states if they have any prayer of winning the Electoral College. So the polls appear to be clearly moving in Trump's favor here. Do you think that's because of Kamala's Katrina? It may be. These latest polls, the Atlas Intel was taken before. The Atlas Intel was actually taken after the debate with Cackles. So that was interesting. It was one of the first polls to drop after the, they're eating the dogs or eating the cats debate that the legacy media mocked, but all the right people liked. Everybody in the rural areas of Wisconsin and Iowa and Michigan and Pennsylvania and Ohio and Minnesota, especially Springfield, Ohio, were all for that debate. They are all for Trump in that debate. So kind of interesting there. Our cosmopolitan elite laughed at him, and he walked out of there with the most accurate pollster of 2020, giving him a 3-point lead. So that was before Kamala's Katrina, but Democracy Institute appears to be afterward. And Rasmussen is a rolling average of the last 5 days. So we may be seeing some polling movement here. Let's take a look at voter registration trends, because those are even more important. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean here. Voter registration trends are more predictive of the eventual election turnout than the polls are. Take a look at what is going on right now in Pennsylvania. This is absolutely freaking-sane. Look at all that red. This is the comparison of the 2020 voter registration and the 2024 voter registration in Pennsylvania. The Republicans, get this, are out-registering the Democrats in every single county. All 67 counties, for the exception of one. For the exception of one. Pennsylvania has 67 counties. Every single county, save for one, has shifted right since 2020. And the one that hasn't is Union County, and they shifted left by just 0.02%. And I mean, seriously, look at this thing. If you thought of this as teams, who would you think is winning by just looking at the colors here, the red team or the blue team? And look at all the flips, right? You can take a look at Beaver County in 2020, when Joe Biden won by just 80,000 votes. Beaver County was +6 Democrat. It's now nearly +3 Republican, a 9-point swing to Trump. Berks was +3 Democrat. It's now +3 Republican, a 6-point swing. Bucks County, where I used to live, it was +2 Democrat. It's now +1 Republican. But that's nothing if you take a look at Fayette County. Fayette was nearly +7 Democrat county in 2020, 6.5%. Look at it now. If you could see it, it's now nearly +10 Republican. +10 Republican. That's a near 17-point swing to Trump. Luzerne County, they were a +9 Democrat. It's now +1 Republican, a 10-point swing. That's what we're seeing in every single county all throughout the state. 66 of Pennsylvania's 67 counties have all swung to the right. And by the way, that also works with our states in this country. 49 of our 50 states have all shifted Republican. They are all more red than they were in 2020. The one off there is unfortunately Colorado. I guess, like I say, I think they're just smoking too much ganja. I don't know what they're doing in Colorado. Remember, but getting back to Pennsylvania, Biden barely pulled off a win in 2020 with Pennsylvania, just by 80,000 votes. These massive swings to the right here are going to be, they promise to be absolutely devastating for Kamala. And if you guys want to get a sense of what's really going on with this campaign, I mean, really? Did you see this? This just came out today. Trump is about to hold a rally in freaking California. In Coachella, California, this Saturday. Let that hit you. Trump is doing a rally in freaking California. This would be equivalent to Kamala doing a rally in Oklahoma or Tennessee. I mean, that's just, it's beyond bold. What it tells me is that Trump is going for the popular vote. That's what it's telling me. I think I saw that over at Red Eagle Politics. I think Jack made that observation. Trump is going for the popular vote. He's attempting to maximize his share of the popular vote. And in so doing, I think he's going to, if he wins the popular vote, it means he's won every swing state in the union. He's doing rallies in California. He's doing rallies in New York, right? Like the one he did in the Bronx a few weeks back, or the one he did in Long Island. He's doing rallies in Jersey, Wildwood. He's doing rallies in Virginia, right? In Virginia Beach. And he's of course doing rallies virtually every day in a swing state. So he's fully invested in getting both a sweep in the swing states and the popular vote. This is going way beyond just an electoral college victory at this point. It really looks like he feels that this is in the bag. He feels like he's got this. They've got all the internal polling. Remember, they spend millions, tens of millions on internal polling, much more than the New York Times spends on it, for example. And they feel like they're crushing the Democrats in the swing states. So now it's time to crush them down ticket everywhere as much as possible by winning the popular vote. So if you don't know, we have the reason why, circling back to, I'm doing a lot of circle back Psaki tonight. The reason why we're focusing so much on voter registration is because of a Gallup survey that has become the single most accurate predictor of the popular vote. We've got a brand new Gallup survey that just came out that is absolutely panicking the Democrats as we speak. You're going to absolutely love this because, again, there is no better predictor of what the popular vote is going to be than this Gallup poll. And wait till you see this. But first, gang, if you are just joining us because it is Monday night, we're going to do what we do every Monday night. We've got our exclusive Backstage private Q&A tonight. So if you'd like to join our private virtual platform and ask me your questions, just click on that link below or go to fight.turleytalks.com/join. Sign up for any level of support and you will be given your own backstage pass to ask me anything you like, as well as fellowship, like I said, with some of the coolest patriots on the planet. You're going to love it. So click on that link below or go to fight.turleytalks.com/join. Join any level that works for you. You'll be given a link to join us in our private backstage virtual platform where you can ask me all your questions and have some wonderful fellowship with patriots from all over the world. You'll love it. All right. Now, I don't know if you know the Gallup voter identification survey. We've talked about it a few times on this channel, but if you're new, this is going to be something that's really important that you're going to want to take note of. The Gallup voter identification survey is the single most accurate election forecast out there. It's come within 1 percentage point of predicting the overall popular vote in the last 4 elections. I'll say that again. It's come within 1 percentage point of predicting the overall popular vote in the last 4 elections. That's pretty impressive stuff. It's accurately predicted the winner in every presidential election going back, I think back in 1992. Now, we've talked about this before, but this is important if you don't know it. What Gallup does is they compare party identification taken just before the voting and the actual popular vote that happened in that first Tuesday in November. And what they found is that there is an eerily accurate predictor for presidential elections. Party identification is an incredibly accurate predictor for the final turnout on election day. So back in 2008, as you could see there, the Democrats had a +8 party identification advantage. The one problem with Gallup, as I understand, the one problem with Gallup is they don't do percentage or they don't do decimal points. So you're going to get whole numbers, 8, 4, 3, 5. You're not going to get a 7.2 or so forth. So that's just the one drawback from it. But in 2008, people identified as Democrat 8% more than Republican. And Obama went on to win the popular vote by 7.2%. So that's a 0.8% difference. In 2012, the Democrat voter identification was +4. Biden went on to win the popular vote by 3.9. So we've got a 0.1 difference there. So the Democrats in 2016 had a +3 party identification advantage. Clinton went on to win the popular vote by 2.1. Again, a 0.9. Like I said, every single election since 2008 has been within a 1% margin. So it's incredibly, uncannily accurate way of predicting the final election turnout. In 2020, Democrats had a +5 identification advantage. Biden went on to win the popular vote by 4.5. So with that track record, that very accurate predictive track record, of course, the only question we need to answer here is what? Right? What's the voter identification advantage for 2024? Take a look. Bottom. It's Republican +3. It is the first time Gallup has ever seen a Republican voter identification advantage. Like ever. And again, you could see why. That's why the voter registration efforts are so important. When 49 out of 50 states, when 66 out of 67 counties in Pennsylvania all show this massive shift to the right, that suggests that we're looking at a Trump popular vote win of 2 to 2.5%, which would mean an Electoral College blowout. Remember, he swept all of the swing states when Hillary won 2.1% of the vote. With a 3% Democrat voter identification advantage. He swept all the swing states. What do you think is going to happen when he has a 2.5 or 3% Republican voter identification advantage? I mean, this is incredible. This is insane. Now, let's go to some of the early voting here, and I'll just do this quick, and then maybe I'll let you ask me a couple of questions, and then we'll go backstage. We are seeing comparable patterns happening in the early voting, particularly in Virginia, in North Carolina. If you haven't seen the latest in Virginia, I did a video on it earlier this morning. I mean, things are starting to get really dire for Harris in this otherwise reliably blue state. The early voting throughout the state is very red. It's very, very Trumpy. The deep blue counties that are for Harris have only seen about a plus 18 turnout, whereas the deep red Trumpy counties have seen a near 60% increase. That means that as of today, basically 3 weeks before early voting starts in Virginia, after 3 weeks after early voting started in Virginia, the Democrats have yet to make up for this shortfall. In every single indicator, polling, voter identification, registration, and early voting, every single data set is moving in Trump's direction, right? We're seeing the same thing in North Carolina, where Republican requests for mail-in ballots are significantly up from 2020, and Democrats' requests are significantly down. Same thing in Pennsylvania. Republican requests are significantly up. Democrat requests are significantly down. Everything is moving in Trump's direction in every single data set, which is amazing news for Trump and horrific news for Katrina Harris. I might want to coin that. Over to you guys. Over to you. Again, as we do every Monday night, we got our exclusive Backstage private Q&A tonight. So if you'd like to join our private virtual platform and ask me your questions, just click on that link below or go to fight.turleytalks.com/join. Sign up for any level of support that you like. You'll be given your own Backstage pass to ask me anything you like, as well as fellowship with some of the coolest patriots on the planet. You're going to love it. All right, Micah, what do you want to take? Should we do a couple of questions here and then go back?
Sounds great.
Let's do it. What do you got?
All right. Let's tease you guys with a couple questions, and then if you're interested in asking any questions that come to your mind, you can just click on that link below. Go to fight.turleytalks.com/join, and you will join us every Monday night. We got a great group of people, everyone having a great time, and we just have a great time and hang out and ask Dr. Steve questions. I ask him questions. It's a great time. All right, we got a question from Matt Habanowski. How do we know that the hidden Trump vote hasn't been factored into the polls already?
How do we know that the hidden Trump vote hasn't been factored into the polls already? That's a good question, Matt. I think because of the underrepresentation of particularly white working class vote and the male vote. They're not at the same numbers as they were back in 2016 and 2020. And then what you also have is you've got the low to no prop voter, who by definition are not polled. So people, when they get polled, they generally draw from data sets that they have of people who voted in the last 4 elections. And if you're a low propensity to no propensity voter, that your name is not going to be on there. They also have what are the ways they weight their results is they find out if you voted in the 2020 election and how you voted. And what they're wanting to do is they want their final poll to look like 2020. So they're going to ask you what you're doing in 2024, but they think they have a good representative sample if, when you're asked, how did you vote in 2020, Biden has a 4.5% advantage. And what we're finding, by the way, is the Democrats are basically lost that advantage. It's gone. You've had a number of people who voted for Trump in 2016. They switched over to Biden because they were confused and blah blah, and they're switching back to Trump. It's crazy. There are no Trump voters for 2016, 2020. They're voting for Kamala. It's just not there. There are plenty of Biden voters, as it were, relatively speaking, that are voting Trump. They're going back to Trump, or they've just been red-pilled, like Elon, for example, and Robert Kennedy and the like. So that's the problem. If they ask you, how did you vote in 2020? And you say, I didn't, they will tend to say, all right, well, thank you. We don't need, because then they can't weigh the election properly. So I think it's two. I think we're seeing a low end of the particularly white working class in areas like Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, Pennsylvania that came out in droves in 2016, 2020. And the low to no prop voter, by definition, is not generally polled. And so and they are coming out in Virginia. And we're finding in the Trumpy counties in Virginia, about 20% of that vote are first-time voters. And we're finding when we do poll them, when we do find out who they are, and people ask who they're voting for, it's overwhelmingly Trump. So,
All right, we got a question from one of our giveaway winners from our book launch event.
Oh, great.
America the Free 76. Welcome back, America the Free 76. And if you don't know, Dr. Turley, I've got my book right here. Dr. Turley has his book out right now. If you guys go to Amazon and you find Fight, How Trump and the MAGA Movement Are Changing the World, you can go get your own copy of Dr. Steve's new book. We just had a great book launch event. We had hundreds of people in there. It was a great time. And we gave away America the Free, got a free book. So that was awesome. But if you go, you can get your book. It's like $12 and you can read all of Steve's ideas about Trump and the MAGA movement and how it's not just this election. This is a global phenomenon that you're a part of, whether you know it or not. So let's get into this question from America the Free. He says, with the poll numbers you are seeing, do you think Trump's lead is too big to rig? Also, we've seen some posts on X today about not having adequate legal representation in Arizona. What do you think? Are we ready on the election integrity front for November 5th?
Yeah, let me go backwards with that. So there was a report out that Laura Trump, after she announced in Butler that they have 200,000 poll watchers and lawyers that they're sending out to particularly the battleground states, there was some concern that people on the ground in Arizona aren't seeing anything. So their feet are just being held to the fire to make sure what's going on there and make sure it gets rectified. And that, to me, that's a credit to the system we've built up here, is that we can have we've got Twitter, we have instant access to information on the ground, and if there's any problem whatsoever, hopefully it can be resolved literally within 48 to 72 hours. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on what's going on. I can't verify one way or the other whether there is a problem in Arizona, really, and whether or not the problem if there is, it has been rectified. Now, in terms of being too big to rig, I get nervous with that. I'll be honest. I do. I get nervous because I think they can pull anything. But this is not 2020. This is not Pennsylvania. Everyone in Pennsylvania getting sent a ballot. As I understand it, virtually every state now requires that you have to request it. You have to be registered to vote, and you have to request a ballot. And when we look at the numbers from that vantage point, the Democrats have literally imploded. Their numbers have imploded from 2020. Remember, Georgia's down 90% in terms of the mail-in ballots requested. And where the number is still significantly lower than 2020, but not as low like in Pennsylvania. Democrats are way down in the amount of ballots they're requesting, whereas Republicans are way up from this time in 2020. Again, we're seeing the same pattern in North Carolina as well. So there just doesn't seem to be the votes there to mess with. You have to request them. They can't just show up in a truck. They could in 2020. They can't now because everybody who's anybody got a mail-in ballot. So you could pull this off in 2020 in a way that I don't think you can pull off in 2024 because every ballot that comes in has to have been requested by a registered voter. And they're not. They're just not doing it. So we have the record of the people who are requesting ballots. And the numbers aren't there to pull off another 2020. And come election day, November 5th, if a truck shows up with 99% of the ballots filled out for Kamala, those would have had to have all been requested. And we would already know that ahead of time. We'd already have it in the numbers ahead of time to be able to assess the request parity. So it's just not there. I just don't see it. Now, I can't comment on any electronic shenanigans. But from what I'm seeing, that wasn't the clear clear game changer in 2020 was mail-in ballots. That's where the most shenanigans were able to appear. Was in mail-ins, and they just can't do it this year. I'm not seeing any indicator whatsoever that it's happening. So like you said, like our major fear right now is like, okay, nobody's manning and suing Arizona to knock out these 200,000 registered voters that shouldn't be on there. By the way, that's not going to make a heck of a difference because they have so many new Republican voters in Arizona. It'll knock your socks off. I think Republicans now have a 6% advantage, voter registration advantage in Arizona, including Maricopa County. And then there's a concern about some overseas votes. But again, they're not that much, and they need to be registered and they need to be requested. You can't just, they tried something desperate where they sent out like texts. The Kamala campaign sent out texts to like every Arizona college student in Arizona. Say, hey, you can register here just by clicking on it. I don't know. I'm not seeing numbers reflecting it being very successful. It's illegal. Number one, you're not allowed to. Campaign isn't allowed to access private information like that. But so I'm just not seeing it. So I don't want to say it's too big to rig, but I'm not seeing the rigging at this point anywhere near like what we were seeing in 2020 when the mail-in ballots were 70% of all ballots cast, and they were just in the stratosphere in terms of numbers. And then they were able to get away with bringing in all of these ballots by the truckload. And even then they could only pull off a win by 10,000 Arizona, 10,000 Georgia, and 20,000 in Wisconsin. Even then.
All right. We got a great question from Mickey. He asks, just wondering if voting machines will change votes like they did in 2020. And I think this might be a good one.
All right. This would be a good one to move on over.
Yeah. So if you guys didn't know, our YouTube channel, Dr. Steve's YouTube channel, I should say, has been completely demonetized. So the only way that we can talk to you about these highly sensitive but very, very important topics is on our private live stream, because we do not want to incur any more of I know we had some questions in the comments about, why don't you guys just stay on YouTube if you're censored if you're demonetized already, but we don't want to get kicked off. We still want to reach you guys. So the reason we need to go to this private live stream, we want to bring you guys with us. That's what we want to bring you over. But the reason is we don't want to incur any more wrath from YouTube talking about your questions. Dr. Steve would love to answer this question, and he's going to answer this question in a private live stream that we will transition to very shortly. But you can join and ask your questions for only $10 a month. There are 3 levels of support that you can look at when you go to that link in the description. If you're on YouTube, there's a link in the pinned chat. If you're on Rumble, it's in the description. And if you want to upgrade and you're in our private live stream, you can find that pinned comment and go and upgrade. And we have tons of features and benefits, but we all know the biggest thing that we can have right now as the election gets closer is the community and just feeling that positivity, because so much of the media is focused on making you feel like it's hopeless. And you turn on Fox News and they're all freaking out, they're all going nuts, but not Dr. Steve. Dr. Steve is confident. And that's why I encourage you guys, Dr. Steve has been encouraging you guys to get his book, because this will help you think like Dr. Steve and think with a more positive, conservative focus rather than this manic, it's the end of the world. But Mickey has the right idea. He's concerned, and we want to answer those concerns as a community together. So all that we are asking you to do, just click on that link, check it out for yourself. You can decide whether you want to join our private live stream. And when you join that private live stream, you'll be able to ask any question you'd like. We're going to answer every question you guys have tonight. I promise you. So without further ado, seriously, guys, click on that link and just go to fight.turleytalks.com/join. Oh, the question's covering up. We'll get that, Mickey. But fight.turleytalks.com/join, and we will see you in our VIP Turley Talk exclusive Courageous Conservative Club. All of the adjectives, the best live stream.
Superlatives.
Yes, the superlative live stream where we as a community come together and we regularly meet every Monday night. And then we have so much more you can check out for the $10 level and all these workshops and amazing things. So seriously, guys, you do not want to miss out. You would be, doing yourself a disservice if you didn't at least check it out. Just see, what you're missing out on. And then you can just come in on YouTube or whatever you want to do. So without further ado, Mickey, we're going to get to that question. But before we do, we're going to transition over to our VIP superlative live stream. So we will see you guys over there very shortly.